The Warhawks went 2-10 last year. They opened their 2024 season on Thursday, August the 29th at home against Jackson State. Represented today by head coach Bryant, Vincent. And our student athletes, Elijah Fisher, a junior offensive lineman from Allen, Texas, and Carl Glass Jr., a senior linebacker from Monroe. We will begin with opening comments from Coach Vincent, and then we'll take questions for both Coach and our student athletes. Coach?
First of all, I want to start off with I'm honored to be here, excited to be here as the head football coach of ULM. I know that we've been able to take tremendous strides. We know the history of this program. We've embraced the situation. We've got a town. We've got a community. We've got a university. We've got a lot of former players and alumni that are hungry for a change. We own who we are. We understand where we're at. We approach every single day of taking the necessary steps that it's going to take to build this program and lay a foundation year one. We feel like we've made tremendous progress in really 6.5 months. We feel like we're beginning to get some momentum. And when you come into a program that's had some tough times, there's necessary things and there's necessary steps that have to take place, that have to happen to build that next brick, to lay that next brick, to take that next step. And I think that we've taken some necessary steps. We've obviously got to maintain that course and take more steps. I think we've been able to put together an outstanding staff. We've been able to put guys together that have been through this process before. We've got good leaders of men. We've got great recruiters. I think everything obviously starts at the top with your administration. We've got alignment with our administration, from Dr. Berry, our president, down to our athletic director, John Hartwell, down to our coaching staff. We all understand we have the same vision. We have the same alignment, and that's what it takes to get started. So we've started the process. We've overcome, and we've been able to lay some big bricks, in this first phase on what we've got to get done. I feel like we've got a team that's in the locker room that owns this mission, that understands. We all came into this knowing what we were getting into, and we all embrace this mission. We understand what has to be done. This team, you can see the growth daily, and there's a lot more growth that has to happen, obviously, these next several weeks before the first game going into year one. But we've got a team that's growing, a team that's starting to get to know each other. We've brought in a lot of new players. We brought in 31 in January. We were able to sign 31 players in 14 days. I thought our staff and really just our university did a great job, because it takes a lot of people to put together in a short amount of time that kind of roster. We were able to improve. So then you go to throughout phase one and phase two throughout spring, we were able to bring in 42 more guys at the end of May to really add. So we're looking at really 73 players, with the 51 guys that were on last year's roster that go into fall camp next week with us. So, we understand it. We're excited. We've got a locker room that's excited. We've got a town up in northeast Louisiana that's starting to get sparked. And we've got to improve that spark. We've got to grow that spark into a flame and then into a fire. And that's just the necessary steps that we've got to take. So we're excited about starting next week. We got to finish out phase 3 this week with our last workout Friday. Guys will get a couple days off, and then we'll begin our first fall camp together. Questions?
We'll now open the floor up for questions. We ask of you, those in attendance, please raise your hand for questions, and a microphone will be brought to you. For those of you joining us on Zoom, please remain on mute. Type your questions into the chat. We'll read them here in the room.
Hey, Coach Craig Stevenson, AL.com. The year you were at UAB as interim coach, what did you learn in that time that you bring to you now as the full-time head coach at ULM?
When you look back and you look at, everybody goes through experiences and everybody has a journey of life. And really throughout my journey in this coaching career, you can go back to the Greenville High School days of 2-8, 1-9, and we were able to go 10-3. You can go to the Spanish Fort days, the next step, they were 0-17. And we were able to go 4-6, 11-2, 11-3, 13-2, and win it, and then go to South Alabama and be able to get to that first bowl game and kind of see where that program's taken off to and what they've been able to accomplish. And then you go to UAB with Bill Clark. They've had they were one bowl game in the history of the program and didn't win it, the Hawaii Bowl. And then we get on that run and we turn UAB really into one of the top group of 5 programs in the country. Win 3 West championships, 2 conference championships, the first bowl games ever. And these are all we made history there at that program. Then to go to New Mexico, that was statistically the worst offense 2 years in a row and be able to be the biggest offensive turnaround in college football. And it all led really God's plan to ULM and to Monroe. And when you've been through all those experiences, it prepares you for this moment. And there was no doubt this was God's plan for me to be the head coach at ULM at this time and to see where this program is at, but the potential. So there is no doubt in my mind I walked into ULM day one comfortable because I understood what I was getting myself into. I understood the necessary phases and the building blocks that have to happen first. And I think we've been able to accomplish a lot of things and put a lot of things in line that have to be done to get off the floor. Let's be honest, because we own exactly who we are. We own exactly where we're at right now, but we're also owning what has to be done daily. And there's been some things happen through each rebuilding process. Certain things have to happen. It's going to be coach-led early. It is. And if you can grow and get your team to become player-led, that has to happen. The discipline daily has to happen. The consistency, the physical and mental toughness has to be shown every single day. And when it gets tough, when it's raining, when it's hot, when it's cold, when it gets late in the fourth, it can never waver. It has to be solid. It has to be built. We talk to our team about that daily. We have to be built going into fall camp. We have a short amount of time, and we've got a race to get there. And then throughout fall camp, we'll be able to see really the character, and we'll be able to see the perseverance of our team, heading into that first game. So I think walked in ready to go, understanding what had to be done. We've got a long way to go, but we're fighting daily to take the steps on where we're at in phase 1.
Dominic Crusetto, College Football Dogs and Sunbelt Syndicate. Coach, this is specific to you and Carl probably most. You have 14 players listed as either from West Monroe or Monroe on your roster. Does that give you guys a little extra pride to play for, literally the name on your chest and also where you're from?
A little bit. Being from Monroe and, they bringing in more players around the area, and we already got that kind of relationship. So it's a big plus.
I'd like to add something to that. I think that when you have guys that it's personal, when it means something to them, and it's not just about, hey, this was my only offer, or, well, this was for whatever you want to talk about, NIL, education, whatever. But when you're from there and you grew up there and it means something to you, we've tried to expand, our footprint locally and really in Northeast Louisiana. But when it means something to them and it's personal, there's power in that. And so we've tried to build that army also to take this mission together.
Emmanuel Pepe's Sunbelt Conference, and this is for both Elijah and Carl. Coach spoke to kind of laying the foundation and building towards something not only this year but beyond that. Just kind of talk about that process and what excited you guys the most of what you've seen so far this offseason and what you're looking forward to for this year for this team.
Just holding each other accountable and stuff. We got more of a standard this year. And I feel like the players actually, they buy into Coach Vincent's process. So
I'm pretty much going to say the same thing. The standard is the main thing. I think when Coach V got here, or to Monroe, it was evident that he's a big fan of a standard. So I think we just uphold that as much as we can and go to work every day.
Got a Zoom question again for Elijah and Carl. Coach mentioned that you've taken some necessary steps and you need to take some more steps, but you have laid some big bricks. What do you two guys think are the bricks that have already been laid?
I'm going to go back to the standard, like holding each other accountable. Like in the past, we didn't really have that. Like people walk into practice late when they wanted to. But now it's not like that no more. Like that's a big brick.
I would say another brick would probably be the work ethic, how much we're willing to work and how far we're willing to push ourselves every day. So those two bricks right there can go a long way for your program.
And another Zoom question, and this is for Coach Vincent. Coach, you mentioned the 72, I think you said 73 actually, new players coming in January and May. What are the challenges in integrating those players with your core group that's returning?
I think there's several challenges that come into play. Where we're wanting to go, we're wanting to be a consistent bowl-eligible football program. We want to consistently compete and win conference championships. And I mean that. And in order to get to that level, you have to have a team that is disciplined, that is tough, that is mentally and physically unwilling to waver. Throughout 12 weeks, throughout 4 quarters, whatever the situation is, they have to be built a certain kind of way. But also to get to that point, you got to have a team that will play for each other, that will play for the man, that loves the man beside him, that cares for the man beside him, that won't let that man down. It's not going to happen. In order for that to happen, we've infiltrated 70-some guys, so they've got to get to know each other. They have to the chemistry has to grow in a short amount of time. So we're under a time clock, and I tell our guys this all the time. The window is short, men. The window is short, so we have to step outside the box to grow the camaraderie, to grow the brotherhood, and to build that bond that it's going to take to win a big game. You can't do it with 5, 6, 11, 10, 12, 14. You got to do it with everybody. Everybody has to be in it. Everybody has to have each other's back, and everybody has to live to the standard and be willing to never waver. And that's, it's tough in phase 1, and I tell the team this. You guys, here's what normally happens. Year 1, there's going to be an improvement. You might win 3. You might win 4, 4 and 8, and people are happy with that. Oh, it's year 1. And they've shown improvement, and they've done that. I don't want to wait to year 2. We don't want to wait to year 2 to take those steps. So we've got to speed the process up. The discipline, the toughness, the mentality, the brotherhood. All these things have to be sped up if we want to have a shot to accomplish this year 1. And we've been up front and we've owned this is the situation we're in, but this is what has to be done.
Coach, Thomas Terry with KTSW Sports. Alongside your previous collegiate head coaching experience, you have a little bit of experience inside of high school football as well. How much does that help you in terms of recruiting maybe into the future? I
think some of your best coaches were high school coaches. They got in it for the right reasons. They got in it for relationships, to lead men, to mentor men. And you're recruiting the hallways. You're trying to get guys to come out. You're trying to get that stud pitcher to be a quarterback on the football team. You're building, you're fundraising, you're building facilities. So I felt like my high school career was extremely valuable to where we're at today. All the experiences that I went through during that journey prepared me for this moment. And high school coaches, I would say 80% of them have a goal or a dream of being a college coach and being a successful college coach and taking it to that level. I think when they see guys like Gus Malzahn, they see guys like Bill Clark, they see guys like Bryant Vincent, it gives them hope and it gives them aspirations that, hey, because they've seen it done. And I think that's a good connect. I think that we've got great relationships in these surrounding states because throughout our journey, who we've been and where we've been, whether it was at high school clinics, coaching clinics, state championships, it's all about people. It's all about relationships, and it's all about what you stand for and what you believe in. And I think it's paid a huge dividend for us recruiting. I think we've put together a really good class for phase 1 with 2 weeks going into signing day in December. And then really that January, February, March of getting the group that we brought in the end of May.
Dominic again here. Guys, you guys field one of probably the best helmets in all of college football, and you just came out with this fire one yesterday. Can you explain just how it feels to put something like that on and run out onto the field with that thing on your head?
I think it comes with a sense of pride, like a lot of work went into giving us that helmet, and they unveiled it and they showed us, and it was awesome, dude. Like it really makes you realize what's changing around ULM, and it makes me very appreciative of it.
I just saying what he said, yeah, it feel good to put it on. So,
got a question for both Carl and Elijah. We've talked about coaches hit on the building process, and you talk about what's changing, but with a lot of change, you kind of have to make it personal. So for both of you guys, and even Coach can touch on this, why is this personal for you? What is your reason, your motivation for this year?
It's personal for me because I was a walk. I used to be a walk-on. And I came from a D2 school, and I took a chance on myself. Don't nobody take a chance on me, so.
I think for me, like my freshman year, we went 0-10. It was that COVID year, so I've seen what it's like at ULM when you're not winning, and I think like with the portal and everything nowadays, everybody asks, why don't you leave? Like it's not a winning program, but I'm telling you, this guy right here, he's the truth, man. He is a man of his word, and that's hard to find nowadays. So I think when it comes to pride, it really comes from wanting to bank on everything he's given us.
Yeah, I think that, it's very personal. Because when it becomes personal and you have that chip on your shoulder every day, then you have an opportunity. Because there's going to be one way out of this. There is. There's only one way up. And I tell our guys, we're on the floor right now. But we got to get up together. And we got to the town has to get up with us. It is personal. We wake up every day with a purpose to turn this program around, to make history, to do things that have never been done. And that's how we approach every single day. And I think these guys have owned that mission, and it's growing. We're not there. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen the first week. But each day we can improve it, and we can lift it, and we can grow it. And that's what this group has done. So, a team with a chip and a team with a purpose that has a bond, that's willing to be disciplined and understand the importance of discipline and understand the importance of toughness, has a shot. And that's all we were asking for. We want a shot.
Got a question for Coach and for Elijah. Can you talk about your quarterback room this year with Hunter Herring returning after being hurt most of last year and your 3 new transfers?
Well, we went through spring. We got here, obviously, December the 7th, and we went through spring. And I met with all the quarterbacks, and as we went through spring and we evaluated, I really didn't see a starter at the moment. And we're very transparent. I believe in good communication, healthy communication, but being up front. And we told the group, hey, we got to go get a guy that we feel like has a chance to be the starter. That doesn't mean any of those guys in the spring couldn't win the job, but we needed more. We needed more. So we brought in General Booty from Oklahoma, from the Shreveport area. We brought in Reese Mooney from North Texas. That's from Denham Springs, to really lift that room, and I think that's what's happened. It's happened. I've seen Hunter Herring. His growth this summer has been tremendous. I think that, Aiden Armenta, who was, at New Mexico last year, he was New Mexico Player of the Year. He's going into his redshirt freshman year. I've seen great growth from him, from Landon Graves to Velez. I think that right now I really like where this room is going into fall camp, because competition brings out the best in everybody. And whoever wins the job, they've got to win it on the field, in front of their team, and let their play and their leadership and the toughness and all the standards that we stand for show. And really after that second scrimmage of fall camps, when hopefully by then it's been proven who's ready to lead this team game 1.
All the guys in that room are just absolute dogs. Like any of them can have that job, and I have no say-so in that. I think everybody in the room can tell that. This guy definitely does. But for me, I just want to show up every day. I want a quarterback that's going to lead us. I want a quarterback that's going to be, when stuff gets hard, I want him to be like, lean on me. And I think, fall camp will show that. And he says it all the time to our team, the cream of the crop will rise, and by the end of fall camp, we'll know.
With no more questions from the floor, Coach Elijah Carl, thank you for being here. Good luck to you in the coming season.
Thank you. Go Warhawks.
Thank you, guys.
We'll be back in approximately 9 minutes with the Trojans from Troy.